Let's talk about levels 1 through 20 on the Burglar. Now, through my time, I have definitely hyped up the Burglar. I say it's one of my top 3 most fun and enjoyable classes to play. If you haven't seen that video, check it out right above here. But as you all know, I talk about the Burglar very highly. Because of that though, I wanted to take a few steps back, go to the beginning levels, especially as a new player. You're gonna start playing out these classes and they might feel squishy initially, and Burglar is definitely one of those. But before I can give you the rest of my review, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel so much, and I would greatly appreciate all your feedback down in the comments as well. I also want to note that this review will be different than the Bjorning level 1 through 20 review because I did actually try out landscape difficulty. Now granted, it was like the next step up. It was like the +1 landscape out of like +10. I only did the first one, so it was very minor, but it definitely could tell a difference. So just kind of keeping that in mind, that maybe that's why I had some trouble or some hardships in the beginning when I was starting on Burglar, because if I had done this on normal chill gameplay, it might have turned out just slightly different. So continuing on, yes, the Burglar is definitely super squishy when you start. That pretty much goes for any class. So just as a warning for all new players, you're going to have a pretty squishy character in the beginning, no matter what class you play really. Maybe with the exception of like Guardians, Brawlers, Wardens, Bjornings. Those I don't feel are too squishy in the beginning, but you actually have a pretty good round of skills and abilities in the beginning as well. With Burglar though, I actually didn't realize how long it takes for you to get to the really good skills. Like, I definitely feel like I'm still lacking some core skills I use with my Burglar, who's around level 50 now on my main account. But while I was playing this Burglar, I definitely felt like I was very limited on the abilities that I was given. I just want to make that clear, but depending on your class, it really can kind of depend how you get your skills and how the whole class build-up feels. So with Burglar, definitely felt like my more essential skills that I use on my main Burglar on my main account, that it definitely didn't come until later, and I might not even still have those skills even at level 20. Starting from the very beginning, I want to make it clear that when I first started playing this Burglar, I started on the Red Line class, which is a very high hitting DPS. Pretty much I was hoping to annihilate my enemies quickly and not so much like damage over time. However, I actually felt that with the Red Line, I only had like 5 abilities or skills. So a lot of my stuff is on cooldown, and like 2 of the skills I couldn't even access because I had to do like the build up for them. So I didn't really feel like it was a great tier because I felt like I had no abilities that I could click, let alone were they really that high impact on damage. So it was probably around like level 10 where someone recommended I try Blue Line instead. So I tried Blue Line, and that was more based on damage over time, which I typically am someone who is not for that, but I actually really appreciated Blue Line a lot more than the Red Line. The one thing that's fantastic about the Red Line that the Blue Line did not have between levels 1 through 20 was that the Blue Line really had no good AoE skills. I don't think there were any skills, if I'm recalling correctly, but there was like no AoE. And then with the Red Line, you have this really great skill that you get early on that is a pure AoE dagger ability. It's so great. That was my main complaint with the Blue Line, is that I really didn't have any AoE abilities, and Red Line gave me that, but I had less skills to work with in the beginning, and I didn't really like that because I just had to do the combos correctly, and then half the time I was waiting on cooldowns anyway, so I wanted the ability to have more skills, which the Blue Line did give me. Also to note too about Burglars is that you won't get your first heal ability until level 8, which I don't even remember having a heal ability on my Burglar, I'm not gonna lie. But no matter what, even with that heal ability, and even when I switched to a blue tier over the red tier, I still felt so squishy. I definitely would recommend for anyone starting Burglar, maybe really concentrate on armor and getting really good gear in your beginning levels. I didn't get any impressive gear, I just got whatever the side quest gave me, and I definitely even maxed out my virtues as quickly as possible during each level. So it was definitely not like a stats issue whatsoever. I definitely would just say it was discouraging in my first at least 10 levels because I felt like everything was doing incredible damage on me and I was not inflicting nearly as often as they were or as much as they were. But either way, stealth is going to be your lifesaver in your early levels. Without the stealth ability and actually getting like those combos together, I probably would have had a lot more close calls if I wasn't using stealth as actively as I was. Though I will say though, even when I was around level 18, I actually rushed into like a group of like 5 mobs, did not use stealth whatsoever, terrible idea, and I did did die, so I did not get my undefeated title. My health, my health, my health. No! I just lost the undefeated title! Literally 2 levels off. It's so depressing. But either way, I definitely would use stealth. I know in another video I mentioned that I didn't really use stealth often. Well, apparently I haven't played Burglar often because I needed stealth in order to live. Like, oh my gosh! So definitely use stealth to the best of your abilities. Get through some mobs, make sure you're hitting them in the back, make sure that you're reading all of your skills. I also want to note too that I did solo this completely on my own. I am a solo player on Lord of the Rings Online, so I just want to make that clear that it was definitely possible to get through with Burglar and solo. It was just definitely challenging, which I really did appreciate because I feel like some of these classes in the LOTRO are just a little OP. I'm talking to you, Bjorning. But honestly, I feel like once I hit level 14, then I really started to feel like I could actually take a couple of hits before just automatically like almost perishing all the time. Definitely around that level did I feel more comfortable with the class, and I felt like there were more abilities. The one thing that does suck about this class, and this goes for I think almost all of the classes actually, is that you don't get your fear or wound or poison resistance until like a higher level. So lucky enough with Burglar, I was able to get a -1 on any poison, which definitely helped me in some trying times. But I would definitely look into potentially getting any potions to clear any wound effects and those sorts of things too, because that will actually kind of hurt you a lot more as you're playing with your Burglar, and then that can also affect you getting into stealth, because I ran into that a lot with the wound. I could not go into stealth with a wound. You like essentially would click stealth, you start stealthing, you think that you're fine, but literally you like uncloak because your wound is just affecting you so much you can't effectively cloak. So I think you have to pay more attention to those sorts of potential effects that you'll have on your character, more so with Burglar, probably over any other class, because any other class, it's gonna hurt your morale or your power or whatnot. That's definitely gonna happen here with the Burglar, but it's also gonna affect your stealth, and without stealth, like I've mentioned, it just really hurts your survivability. Just to kind of wrap up things, I want to make it clear that Burglar is a squishy class when you start. You definitely have to really learn your skills and know them, or you're just going to definitely die a couple dozen times. If you're able to realize how some of those skills work, like with the combos and stuff, and if you actually use stealth to your advantage, then you'll definitely have a really good opportunity with the Burglar, and I think that you'll find it super exciting. And I will say too, I honestly don't really see too much of a difference between red line and blue line in your beginning, so pick whichever line's gonna work best for you. Heck, even try yellow line. I don't know, that might be up for you too. I also want to note too that you definitely should incorporate your stuns more, because that was something the chat kept yelling at me about. Just make sure you're also incorporating your stunts, and don't do what I did and just kind of avoid that skill altogether, because I was terrified of it and always smacking mobs that I had knocked out. So if you're someone that's definitely more like skill oriented, you really want to be like a wizard on the combos, and you want to make sure that you're actually using your buffs and debuffs as needed, then this is really a class for you. And it is a nice fun class to play, and I still think it is on the top 3. And then yeah, overall just make sure that you're using your heal ability when you need. It has pretty long cooldown, so it's not meant to be like super OP, but it's nice. It can recover at least over half of your health. I thought it was great. And then my suggestions, as stated before too, just make sure that you're getting gear that probably will last you a lot longer and be better for you. And then also try to get some of those wound potions and all those little effects, because they can definitely hurt your survivability sometimes. Probably more so than other characters, because that'll affect your stealth. So more or less, I feel like that's a pretty short summary of my opinion for level 1 through 20 on the Burglar. I know this is a shorter video than normal, but I definitely recommend you check out my review on Bjorning's from level 1 through 20. Definitely different experience overall. Thank you all so much, and as always, you better stay weird, you freaky weirdos. I couldn't say that seriously.